The Supreme Court of the United States delivered a landmark ruling today, dismantling the Trump-era tariffs that have shaped global commerce for years. This historic decision ends a contentious chapter in American economic policy, fundamentally reshaping supply chains and redefining international relations. For years, businesses and governments around the world have navigated uncertainty, but now, a new era begins. The ruling strikes down the broad interpretation of Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act of 1962, a provision once used to justify sweeping tariffs in the name of national security. The court found that national security could not be used as a blanket justification for economic protectionism, setting a precedent that will influence future trade debates and legal arguments. This decision impacts billions in commerce and rebalances power between the president and Congress on trade, restoring a crucial system of checks and balances in economic policymaking. For international partners, this is a moment of cautious optimism, potentially paving the way for renewed cooperation, stronger alliances, and more predictable trade relationships. The end of these tariffs promises to lower costs for businesses and consumers globally, making everyday goods more affordable and boosting economic activity across borders. The world watches to see if this legal decision translates into a genuine shift toward more open trade policies, or if new barriers will emerge in its place. This moment affects the price of goods, the viability of jobs worldwide, and the competitiveness of entire industries, from manufacturing to technology. It's a story about the interconnectedness of our world and the complex rules that govern international trade, reminding us how decisions in one country ripple across the globe. The Supreme Court's decision closes one chapter but opens a new one filled with opportunities and uncertainties as nations and businesses adapt to a rapidly changing landscape. The significance of this moment cannot be overstated. It marks a turning point in how the world approaches trade, law, and economic cooperation. It touches every corner of the global economy, influencing markets, investments, and the daily lives of millions. The decision is not just about politics or law, it's about the future of global trade, the prosperity of nations, and the well-being of people everywhere. The world is watching closely to see the next steps, as a new era for global trade begins to unfold before our eyes. To truly grasp the significance of today's decision, we must first revisit its origins and understand the context that shaped it. The story begins in 2018, when President Trump announced sweeping tariffs, citing national security concerns as the primary justification. A 25% tariff on imported steel and a 10% tariff on aluminum marked a dramatic shift from decades of U.S. trade policy, which had long favored open markets and global cooperation. The administration's goal was clear: to protect American industries and safeguard jobs from what was seen as unfair foreign competition, especially from countries with lower production costs. This move was a cornerstone of the broader America First agenda, which questioned the benefits of globalism and existing trade agreements and sought to prioritize U.S. interests above all. The tariffs quickly escalated into a full-blown trade war with China, affecting hundreds of billions of dollars in goods and sparking global economic uncertainty. While American steel and aluminum producers initially saw a boost, industries that relied on these metals, like automakers and construction, faced soaring costs and supply chain disruptions. Despite promises, the tariffs did not deliver the manufacturing renaissance many had hoped for, and some factories even closed their doors. Retaliation from other countries hit U.S. exporters hard, especially in agriculture, as foreign markets imposed their own barriers. American farmers saw their overseas markets shrink dramatically, prompting the federal government to step in with emergency aid to offset mounting losses. The tariff era defined a period of global economic friction and unpredictability, with markets reacting to each new development. It was a bold gamble to reshape the world's trading system, challenging long-standing alliances and economic norms. The policy triggered swift and widespread retaliation from other countries, who saw the tariffs as a threat to their own economies. The European Union, Canada, Mexico, and China all imposed their own tariffs on American products, targeting key U.S. exports. This wave of counter-tariffs hit U.S. exporters hard, particularly those in the already vulnerable agricultural sector. Farmers who sold soybeans, pork, and other goods abroad saw their markets shrink overnight, with some losing access to critical buyers. The federal government ultimately provided billions of dollars in aid to farmers, attempting to cushion the blow and stabilize rural communities. In the end, the tariff era became a defining feature of the global economic landscape, leaving a legacy of uncertainty and debate over the future of international trade. The legal battle leading to today's decision was long and arduous. A coalition of businesses and importers argued the tariffs were an unconstitutional overreach. They contended Section 232 was misused, with weak links to national security. Lower courts hesitated to intervene, deferring to the executive on national security. The case reached the Supreme Court in early 2025. Lawyers argued unchecked Section 232 interpretation gave the president too much power. The court's 3 decisions sided with businesses, setting a stricter standard for Section 232. The ruling requires a clear link between imports and national security threats. The decision invalidates existing tariffs and reasserts the separation of powers in trade. The court has drawn a new line in the sand. The decision effectively invalidates the existing steel and aluminum tariffs. The Supreme Court's opinion, authored by Chief Justice Roberts, reasserts constitutional checks and balances. The ruling limits the executive's ability to define national security in economic terms. The president's authority in foreign policy is significant but not absolute. The power to regulate commerce with foreign nations belongs to Congress. The dissenting justices argued for judicial restraint, warning the ruling could limit future presidents. The decision invalidates tariffs imposed under the previous interpretation of Section 232. The Department of Commerce must develop new guidelines complying with the court's standard. The era of tariffs justified by a loose definition of national security is over. The ruling directs the Department of Commerce to cease collection of these duties. The practical effect of the verdict is the immediate invalidation of the tariffs. The ruling directs the Department of Commerce to cease collection of these duties. The era of tariffs justified by a loose definition of national security is officially over. The Supreme Court's decision sparked immediate market reactions. Global financial markets surged, anticipating lower costs and eased trade tensions. Manufacturing and construction shares rose while domestic steel and aluminum stocks fell. World leaders welcomed the decision, seeing it as a step toward restoring international order. The current administration praised the ruling as a step toward normalizing trade. Proponents of the tariffs condemned the decision, fearing vulnerability to foreign competition. The court's decision has not ended the debate. It has simply moved it to a new arena. The decision has drawn a clear line in the sand, creating a potent issue. The decision creates new winners and losers in the American economy. Industries using steel and aluminum, like automakers, will benefit from lower costs. The construction industry will also see relief, with falling material costs. Consumers will benefit from lower prices on goods, easing inflationary pressures. The National Retail Federation estimates savings for American families. Domestic steel and aluminum industries face renewed foreign competition. Industry leaders warn of potential job losses. The agricultural sector is a clear winner, with retaliatory tariffs expected to lift. Farm groups see the decision as a lifeline, hoping for market recovery. The ruling could mark the beginning of a recovery for rural communities. The future of these industries will depend on their ability to compete on quality and efficiency. The ruling could mark the beginning of a recovery for rural communities. The political fallout reshapes the national conversation. The ruling aligns with the current administration's agenda of repairing alliances. For the opposition, it serves as a rallying cry, reinforcing the America First narrative. The decision pressures Congress to regulate foreign commerce. Legislative proposals will emerge, seeking to support domestic industries. Socially, the decision highlights deep divisions within American society. Coastal cities view it positively, while industrial heartlands see it as a betrayal. The ruling touches on national identity, economic fairness, and America's global role. Experts from various fields weigh in on the long-term implications of the recent decision, offering diverse perspectives. Dr. Evelyn Reed sees a positive immediate effect on the economy, but warns of lingering scars from the trade war that could affect future growth. Professor Mark Chen views it as a landmark moment for the separation of powers, emphasizing its significance in legal history. The ruling forces a crucial conversation about the roles of Congress and the President in shaping trade policies. Former Ambassador David Thorne notes allies' relief at the decision, but warns that rebuilding trust will take time and effort. The challenge is to negotiate durable agreements that can withstand political shifts and maintain stability. Labor market analyst Sarah Jenkins warns of significant localized impacts in steel and aluminum towns, where jobs are already scarce. Supporting affected workers requires comprehensive job retraining programs and economic diversification to create new opportunities. The policy debate must shift to focus on supporting those negatively affected by these changes, ensuring no one is left behind. The decision opens a door for innovative new trade policies that could reshape the economic landscape. The next big question is whether Congress will step up and take a more active role in crafting these policies. The ruling forces a much-needed conversation about the proper roles of Congress in the legislative process. The challenge for the administration now is to use this opening to negotiate new agreements that benefit all parties involved. The decision opens a door for new trade policies that could redefine international relations. The conversation is just beginning, and its outcome will shape the future of global trade. The Supreme Court decision presents a crossroads for the nation. The end of tariffs marks a pivotal moment for reflection on our economic future. We have an opportunity to choose a wiser, more balanced path. The debate should focus on creating a competitive and fair trade policy. Understanding diverse perspectives is key to forging a consensus. The story of tariffs is a lesson in interconnectedness. A decision in Washington affects global industries and families. The challenge is to build a resilient, fair global system. The Supreme Court has opened the door for a better future. The conversation is just beginning.